My name is Addie, and I am 58 years old. I have been a mother-in-law for 6 years now, and I always tried to love my daughter-in-law like my own daughter. When I decided to gift my son's family a vacation at a beautiful seaside resort to celebrate my granddaughter's birthday, I brought my credit card ready to pay for everything. I never expected that my daughter-in-law would say something that would make me leave in the middle of that trip. Let me know where you are watching from today. Hit that like button and subscribe because what happened next will truly shock you. I live alone now in a 3-bedroom house in a quiet suburb of Connecticut. My husband Harold passed away 4 years ago, and since then this house has felt both too big and strangely comforting at the same time. Harold was an engineer for 32 years, and he left me with enough savings and his pension to live comfortably. I did not need to work, but I chose to take a part-time job at the local library because I have always loved books, and I needed something to fill my days. The house sits on a corner lot with a small garden in the back where I grow tomatoes and roses every spring. The kitchen is my favorite room because it holds so many memories of family dinners and holiday gatherings. I used to spend hours in that kitchen preparing meals for when Derek and his family would visit. Every Sunday evening at 7 o'clock, I would call my son Derek. That phone call became the highlight of my week, a small thread connecting me to the family I loved so dearly. Derek is my only child. I had complications during his birth, and the doctors told me I would never be able to have more children. So I poured everything I had into raising him. When he was young, we were incredibly close. He would sit next to me while I read stories to him. He would help me in the garden even though he was too small to do much. He would tell me everything about his day at school. Derek went to college in Boston and studied finance. After graduation, he got a job at a financial firm in New York City. I was so proud of him. I missed him terribly, but I knew he was building his own life, and that was exactly what a mother should want for her child. 7 years ago, Derek called me with excitement in his voice. He had met someone special. Her name was Megan, and he sounded happier than I had heard him in years. When he brought her home for Thanksgiving that year, I welcomed her with open arms. She was pretty smart, and she made my son smile. What more could a mother ask for? Their wedding 6 years ago was beautiful. I paid for most of it without being asked and without expecting anything in return. I remember thinking that day that I was not losing a son, but gaining a daughter. Megan called me Mom, and I believed we would have a wonderful relationship. From the beginning, I made a conscious decision not to interfere in their lives. I never showed up at their apartment unannounced. I always called before visiting and always asked if it was a good time. I sent gifts for birthdays and holidays, and whenever they mentioned needing help with something, I offered money without hesitation. I thought I was doing everything right. Then came the grandchildren, and my heart expanded in ways I never knew possible. Lily was born 5 years ago. I was in the delivery waiting room, and when Derek came out to tell me I had a granddaughter, I cried tears of pure joy. 2 years later, Ethan arrived, and I flew to New York the moment I heard the news. Those 2 children became the center of my universe. Every time I visited, I brought presents for them: toys, clothes, books, homemade cookies. I wanted them to know their grandmother loved them unconditionally. I wanted to be part of their lives, to watch them grow, to create memories that would last forever. I believed everything was fine. I believed our family was close and loving. I had no idea that something had been shifting beneath the surface, something I was too hopeful to see. Looking back now, I can see the signs that I missed or chose to ignore. The changes started about 2 years ago, so gradually that I barely noticed them at first. The Sunday phone calls began to get shorter. Derek would answer and we would talk for maybe 10 minutes before he would say he had to go because he was busy with something. When I asked to speak with Megan, he would say she was putting the kids to bed or she was working on something for her job. At first I understood. Life with 2 young children and demanding careers must be exhausting. But then the excuses started piling up. Every time I suggested coming to visit, something came up. Lily had a cold. Ethan was teething and not sleeping well. They were renovating the bathroom. Megan had a big project at work. The timing was never right. I told myself this was normal. Young families are busy. They have their own rhythm, their own priorities. I did not want to be the kind of mother who demanded attention or made her children feel guilty. So I waited patiently and kept calling every Sunday, even when the conversations felt increasingly one-sided. Then came Christmas last year and everything became harder to ignore. I invited Derek, Megan, and the kids to spend Christmas with me in Connecticut. I had already planned the menu. I bought presents for everyone. I decorated the house the way I used to when Derek was a child. I was so excited. Derek called me a week before Christmas. His voice was hesitant when he told me they had decided to stay home this year. Megan did not want to travel with 2 young children in the winter. It was too far. The kids might get sick. I swallowed my disappointment and offered an alternative. "What if I come to you?" I asked. "I can fly to New York and stay at a hotel nearby. I just want to spend Christmas with my grandchildren." There was a long pause on the phone. Then Derek said that their apartment was really small and there was not much room for guests. Megan thought it would be too stressful to have company while managing the kids on Christmas morning. I said I understood, even though my heart was breaking. On Christmas Day, I sat alone in my decorated living room and waited for the video call they had promised. It came at 2 in the afternoon and lasted exactly 15 minutes. Lily showed me her new toys. Ethan was cranky and did not want to look at the screen. Megan waved briefly from the background, but did not say much. That night I sat in Harold's old armchair and cried. But by morning I had convinced myself that it was just a difficult year. Next Christmas would be different. A few months later came Lily's 5th birthday in March. I had been planning her gift for weeks. During one of our video calls, Lily had pointed at a doll on a commercial and said she wished she could have one just like that. I tracked down that exact doll online. It cost over $100, but I did not care. I also bought her a beautiful princess dress and a set of illustrated fairy tale books. I shipped the presents a week before her birthday so they would arrive on time. Then I waited eagerly for our next call so I could see her reaction. When I finally talked to Lily on the phone a week after her birthday, I asked if she liked her presents from Grandma. Her little voice got quiet and she said something that confused me. "Grandma," she said, "Mommy told me those presents are too much and I should not ask you for things." I did not know what to say. I told Lily that Grandma loves giving her presents and she never needs to ask. After we hung up, I called Derek to understand what was going on. Derek sighed and explained that Megan believed in teaching the kids not to depend on material things. She thought expensive gifts sent the wrong message. He said it so casually, as if it were perfectly reasonable to make a grandmother feel guilty for wanting to spoil her grandchildren. I was hurt, but I did not argue. I apologized if I had overstepped and promised to be more mindful in the future. Later that week, I met my friend Patricia for coffee. Patricia has known me for over 30 years. We taught at the same school before I retired, and she is the kind of friend who tells you the truth, even when you do not want to hear it. I told her about the Christmas situation and the birthday gift incident. Patricia listened carefully, then looked me straight in the eyes. "Addie," she said, "is it possible that your daughter-in-law is deliberately creating distance between you and your son?" I shook my head immediately. "No," I said, "Megan is just stressed. She has a lot on her plate with work and the children." Patricia did not look convinced. She suggested I have an honest conversation with Derek about how I was feeling. Maybe there was something going on that I did not know about. But I could not bring myself to do it. I was afraid of causing conflict. I was afraid of pushing Derek further away. So I did what I had always done. I stayed quiet and hoped things would get better on their own. And that is when the idea for the vacation started forming in my mind. Maybe what we all needed was quality time together away from the stress of daily life. Maybe a beautiful trip would bring us closer and remind everyone what family was supposed to feel like. Lily would turn 6 in March, and I wanted to make it special. I started researching vacation destinations in January, looking for somewhere warm and beautiful where we could all relax together. Florida seemed like the perfect choice. The weather would be warm in March while Connecticut was still cold and gray. I found a resort in Clearwater Beach that looked absolutely stunning. It had everything. A private beach, multiple swimming pools, including one designed for children, excellent restaurants, and activities for all ages. I called the resort and spoke with their reservations team for almost an hour. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. I booked 2 rooms side by side on the 4th floor with ocean views. 1 room for Derek, Megan, and the children. 1 room for me. The total cost for 5 nights came to over $8,000, and I put it all on my credit card without a second thought. This was my gift to my family. This was my way of showing them how much I loved them. I called Derek on a Sunday evening to share the news. I could barely contain my excitement as I explained the plan. 5 nights at a beautiful beach resort, everything paid for, a special celebration for Lily's birthday. Derek was quiet on the other end of the line. I waited for him to say something, but there was only silence. "Mom," he finally said, "that sounds really generous, but I need to talk to Megan first." Of course, I said, trying not to let my disappointment show. Take your time and let me know. 2 days passed before Derek called back. He said Megan had agreed to the trip, but something in his tone told me she was not excited about it. I pushed that feeling aside. Once we got there, I told myself once she saw the beautiful beach and the kids playing in the sand, she would relax and enjoy herself. I threw myself into planning. I bought new summer clothes and a bathing suit. I ordered special gifts for the kids. For Lily, I found a beach toy set with buckets and shovels and molds shaped like sea creatures. I also had a delicate bracelet made with her name engraved on it. For Ethan, I bought a toy truck and a little sun hat decorated with boats. I made a list of activities we could do together: building sandcastles, taking a boat tour to see dolphins, having a nice family dinner at the resort restaurant. I even arranged for the resort to prepare a special birthday cake for Lily decorated with her favorite cartoon characters. I checked and double-checked everything. I made sure my credit card had a high enough limit to cover all our meals and activities. I wanted this trip to be absolutely perfect. My flight left Connecticut on a Tuesday morning in early March. I flew into Tampa and rented a car to drive to Clearwater Beach. The drive took about an hour, and I spent the whole time looking at the palm trees and feeling the warm air coming through the slightly open window. I arrived at the resort a day before Derek and his family. I wanted time to check everything and make sure both rooms were exactly right. The resort was even more beautiful in person than it had looked in the photographs. White buildings against the blue sky, lush tropical landscaping, the sound of waves in the distance. I inspected both rooms carefully. They were spacious and clean with large windows overlooking the ocean. I asked the staff to place fresh flowers in Derek and Megan's room, yellow roses and white lilies. I thought it would be a nice welcoming touch. That evening, I stood on the balcony of my room and watched the sun set over the Gulf of Mexico. The sky turned orange and pink and purple. I felt something I had not felt in a long time: hope, pure, uncomplicated hope. Tomorrow my family would arrive. Tomorrow we would begin making beautiful memories together. Tomorrow everything would be perfect. I had no way of knowing how wrong I was. Derek, Megan, and the children arrived the next afternoon. I waited for them in the resort lobby, my heart beating fast with anticipation. When I saw them come through the glass doors, I stood up immediately and opened my arms wide. Lily spotted me first. She broke away from her parents and ran toward me, her little legs moving as fast as they could. "Grandma," she shouted, and I scooped her up in my arms and held her tight. She smelled like airplane and fruit snacks, and I did not want to let her go. Ethan toddled over next, and I knelt down to hug him too. He was getting so big. The last time I had seen him in person was almost 6 months ago. When I looked up at Megan, my smile faltered for just a moment. She was standing a few feet away with her arms crossed. She gave me a small nod, but she did not step forward to hug me. Her face showed no warmth at all. "Hi, Megan," I said, trying to keep my voice cheerful. "How was your flight?" "Long," she said. The kids were restless. Derek came forward and gave me a brief hug. He looked tired, and there was something in his eyes that I could not quite read. Tension, maybe, or worry. I led them up to their room, chatting the whole way about the resort amenities and all the fun things we could do together. When I opened the door to their room, I pointed out the flowers I had arranged. "I thought these might brighten up the space," I said. Megan looked at the flowers, then around the room. Her expression did not change. "The room is smaller than I expected," she said. My heart sank a little, but I recovered quickly. "We can ask about upgrading to a larger room if you would like. I am sure they can accommodate us." Megan shook her head. "Do not bother. It is fine." The word "fine" hung in the air like a cold draft. I ignored it and suggested we all freshen up and meet for dinner at the resort restaurant in an hour. Dinner that first evening was uncomfortable in ways I struggled to understand. The restaurant was beautiful, with large windows overlooking the ocean and soft music playing in the background. The food was excellent, but Megan spent most of the meal looking at her phone. When I tried to make conversation with her, she gave short answers without looking up. I asked about her job. She said it was fine. I asked about her parents. She said they were fine. I asked if she was enjoying the resort so far. She shrugged and said it was fine. That word again. Fine. Empty and dismissive. Derek tried to fill the silences with small talk about the flight and the weather and work. Lily chattered happily about the swimming pool she had seen on the way in. Ethan made a mess with his food. It should have been a lovely family dinner. But every time I looked at Megan, I felt a wall between us. I told myself she was just tired from traveling. Tomorrow would be better. The next morning I woke up early and got dressed in a cheerful yellow sundress. I went to their room and knocked on the door, excited to start our first full day together. Megan opened the door. She was still in her pajamas and she did not invite me in. "Good morning," I said brightly. I thought we could all have breakfast together and then head down to the beach. Megan's expression did not change. "We already ate," she said. "Room service." "Oh," I said, trying to hide my disappointment. "Well, maybe we can meet at the beach in a little while." Megan leaned against the doorframe. "Actually," she said, "we have our own plans for today." I stood there unsure what to say. Derek appeared behind Megan, looking uncomfortable. "Mom," he said, "maybe we can meet up later at the pool this afternoon." Megan shot him a look. I could not see her face, but I saw Derek flinch slightly. "Sure," I said, forcing a smile. "I will see you at the pool. What time works for you?" "We will text you," Megan said, and she closed the door. I stood in the hallway for a moment, staring at the closed door. Something was very wrong, but I did not know what. I went back to my room and sat on the bed, trying to understand what was happening. That entire day, I saw my family for exactly 30 minutes. I waited at the pool for hours, reading a book and watching other families play together. When Derek, Megan, and the kids finally showed up around 3 in the afternoon, Lily ran to me immediately. "Grandma," she said, "will you teach me to swim?" I stood up eagerly. "Of course, sweetheart. Let me just get in the water with you." But before I could take Lily's hand, Megan was there. "Lily," she said sharply, "come here. We need to put more sunscreen on you." But Mommy Lily protested Grandma was going to teach me to swim. "Now, Lily," Megan said in a tone that left no room for argument. Lily's face fell as her mother pulled her away. I stood there in my bathing suit, feeling foolish and confused. Derek would not meet my eyes. For the rest of their time at the pool, Megan kept the children close to her. Every time Lily tried to come to me, Megan found a reason to redirect her. She needed a snack. She needed to rest in the shade. She needed to use the bathroom. By the time they left to go back to their room to get ready for dinner, I had barely exchanged 10 words with my grandchildren. That evening, I had made a reservation at the nicest seafood restaurant in the resort. I had been looking forward to this dinner all week, a beautiful meal with my family overlooking the ocean at sunset. When we arrived at the restaurant, Megan looked at the menu and wrinkled her nose. "I do not like seafood," she announced. I blinked in surprise. We were at a beach resort. Most of the restaurants served seafood, but I wanted to be accommodating. "We can go somewhere else," I offered. "There is an Italian restaurant on the other side of the resort." Megan waved her hand dismissively. "Do not bother," she said. "We can just get something from the menu." The meal was strained. Megan ordered a salad and picked at it without enthusiasm. The children were fussy after a long day in the sun. Derek looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. When the check came, I reached for my credit card. As I handed it to the server, I heard Megan say something under her breath to Derek. She spoke quietly, but not quietly enough. "She always has to show off that she is paying for everything." The words hit me like a slap. I pretended not to hear. I smiled at the server and completed the transaction, but inside my heart was cracking. After dinner, I asked Derek if we could talk privately. He looked nervous, but he agreed to meet me at the resort bar while Megan took the children back to the room. We sat at a small table in the corner. I ordered tea because I needed something to do with my hands. Derek ordered a beer and drank half of it before I spoke. "Derek," I said gently, "I need to ask you something. Is Megan upset with me? Has she been treating me differently, or am I imagining things?" Derek stared at his beer. "Mom," he said slowly, "Megan is just stressed. Work has been really hard lately." "It seems like more than that," I pressed. "She barely speaks to me. She keeps the children away from me. And that comment at dinner about me showing off, I heard it, Derek." Derek finally looked at me. His eyes were tired. "Mom," he said, "please do not make this into a big thing. Everything is fine. Can we just enjoy the rest of the vacation?" "But it is not fine," I said, my voice breaking slightly. "I came here to spend time with my family. I paid for this entire trip because I wanted us to be together, and I feel like I am not wanted here." Derek reached across the table and patted my hand awkwardly. "You are overthinking this," he said. "Just give Megan some space. She will warm up." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to trust that my son knew his wife and that everything would work out. So I swallowed my hurt and nodded. "Okay," I said, "I will try." I went back to my room and cried myself to sleep. But I made a decision. Tomorrow was Lily's birthday. It was supposed to be a special day. I would put on a brave face and make sure my granddaughter had a wonderful celebration. I did not know that tomorrow would be the worst day of my life. I woke up on Lily's birthday feeling determined. Today would be different. Today was about my granddaughter, and nothing was going to ruin it. I put on my nicest dress, a soft blue one with small white flowers. I did my hair and put on a little makeup. I wanted to look like the happy grandmother I was supposed to be. I gathered the presents I had brought for Lily. The beach toy set the bracelet with her name, the books. I also had a small cake that I had ordered from a local bakery. It was not the big one the resort was preparing for later. This was just a little morning surprise, a tradition I wanted to start with my granddaughter. I walked down the hallway to their room carrying the cake with a few candles on top and a bag of presents. My heart was full of love and hope. I knocked on the door and waited. I could hear movement inside, then the door opened. Lily stood there in her pajamas, her eyes widening when she saw the cake. "Grandma," she screamed with joy, and my heart soared. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," I said, holding out the cake. "I came to give you a special birthday surprise." Lily reached for the cake, her face glowing with excitement. But then Megan appeared behind her, and everything changed. Megan's face was hard and cold. She looked at the cake, then at me. "We already ordered a cake from the resort," she said flatly. "This is unnecessary." I kept my smile in place even though it hurt. "I know," I said. "But I thought it would be nice to have a little morning celebration too, just something small." Lily was already reaching for the bag of presents. She pulled out the beach toys and gasped with delight. Then she found the bracelet box and opened it carefully. "Grandma," she breathed, "it has my name on it. It is so pretty." Before I could respond, Megan stepped forward and took the bracelet from Lily's hands. "Lily," she said firmly, "I told you before, you cannot accept expensive gifts like this. It is not appropriate." Lily's face crumpled. "But Mommy, it is my birthday. Grandma gave it to me." Megan did not budge. "We will discuss this later," she said, putting the bracelet back in the box. Something inside me snapped. I had been patient. I had been understanding. I had made excuses for Megan's behavior for 2 years. But watching my granddaughter's birthday joy be crushed was more than I could bear. "Megan," I said, keeping my voice as steady as I could, "can I speak with you privately for a moment?" Megan looked at me with an expression I had never seen before. Cold, almost cruel. "Derek," she called over her shoulder, "take the kids inside." Derek appeared looking worried. He ushered Lily and Ethan into the room and closed the door. Megan and I stood in the hallway facing each other. I spoke first. "Megan, I have tried very hard to be a good mother-in-law. I have respected your space. I have asked before visiting. I have tried not to interfere, but I need to know what I have done to upset you so much." Megan crossed her arms and stared at me. "You really want to know?" she said. It was not a question. "Yes," I said. "Please, help me understand." Megan took a step closer to me. Her voice was low but sharp. "You are always inserting yourself into our lives," she said. "You call every week like you are checking up on us. You send these ridiculous expensive gifts like you are trying to buy the kids love. And now this trip. You think because you are paying for everything you have some right to be here. You think you can just show up and be part of our family whenever you want." I stood there stunned. "That is not what I'm trying to do at all," I said. "I just want to be close to my son and grandchildren. I love them." Megan laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "Love," she repeated mockingly. "You do not love us. You love being in control. You love being the generous grandmother who everyone has to thank. Well, let me make something clear to you." She leaned in close, and her next words were like daggers. "You are not welcome here. This trip would be so much better if you were not around." I could not move. I could not breathe. The words echoed in my head. "You are not welcome here." Megan straightened up and looked at me with cold satisfaction. "Now, if you will excuse me, I need to get back to my daughter's birthday." She turned toward the door, but I found my voice. "Wait," I said. "I need to talk to Derek." Megan shrugged. "Suit yourself." I knocked on the door. Derek opened it, his face pale. He had heard everything through the thin walls. I looked at my son, the boy I had raised with all the love in my heart. "Did you hear what she said to me?" I asked. Derek looked down at the floor. "Did you?" I pressed. He nodded slightly. "Do you agree with her?" I asked. My voice was steady, but inside I was breaking. "Do you think I am not welcome here?" Derek still would not look at me. The silence stretched between us. "Mom," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper, "maybe you should give us some space." That was it. Those words from my own son. Give us some space. He had chosen his wife over his mother, and he would not even defend me. I looked past Derek into the room. Lily was sitting on the bed, her face streaked with tears. She did not understand what was happening. She just knew the adults were angry, and her birthday was being ruined. My heart shattered for her, for both grandchildren. But I knew in that moment that staying would only make things worse. I took a deep breath. I straightened my spine. I looked at Derek and then at Megan, who was standing behind him with a smug expression. "I understand," I said. My voice was calm, almost eerily so, completely calm. I turned and walked back toward my room. I did not cry, I did not yell, I did not beg. I had made a decision. For the first time in my life, I was going to put myself first. I closed the door to my room and stood there for a moment, letting the reality wash over me. My daughter-in-law had told me I was not welcome. My son had failed to defend me. I was alone in a beautiful resort that I was paying for, surrounded by a family that did not want me there. But instead of collapsing into grief, I felt something else rising inside me. It was not anger exactly, it was clarity. For years I had bent over backward to be accommodating, to be understanding, to avoid conflict at any cost. And where had it gotten me? Standing in a hallway being told I was unwanted. No more. I picked up the phone and called the front desk. I asked to speak with the resort manager. Within 20 minutes there was a knock on my door. A tall man in a crisp suit introduced himself as Marcus, the general manager. "How can I help you, Mrs. Miller?" he asked politely. I invited him in and explained the situation calmly. I told him that I was the one who had made and paid for all the reservations. Both rooms were on my credit card. I had also prepaid for several services, including a birthday cake, a special dinner, and a dolphin-watching boat tour. "I need to make some changes," I said. "Of course," Marcus said. "What would you like to do?" "I want to cancel all the prepaid services for the other room. The cake, the dinner, the boat tour, everything." Marcus nodded, taking notes. "I also want you to remove my credit card from their room starting tomorrow morning. Any charges they incur from that point forward should be billed directly to them." Marcus looked up. "I understand," he said. "Is there anything else?" "Yes," I said. "I need you to understand that I am not canceling their room reservation. They can stay here, but I will no longer be paying for anything for them." Marcus assured me that everything would be handled discreetly and professionally. I thanked him, and he left. Then I began to pack my suitcase. I folded my clothes carefully, taking my time. I packed the unused gifts, the beach toys, and the bracelet that Megan had rejected. I gathered my toiletries from the bathroom. Before I left, I sat down at the small desk and wrote a note. It was addressed to Lily and Ethan. "My dear grandchildren," I wrote, "Grandma loves you more than words can say. I have to leave now, but please know that I will always be here for you whenever you need me. I am sorry I could not be there for your birthday, Lily. I hope you have a wonderful day. Love always, Grandma." I folded the note and put it in an envelope. I asked the front desk to deliver it to their room the following morning. Then I checked out of the resort. It was early evening and the sun was beginning to set. I loaded my suitcase into the rental car and drove away without looking back. I drove about 20 miles down the coast to another resort, a smaller and quieter place. I booked a room for 3 nights. The woman at the front desk smiled warmly and welcomed me. My new room was not as fancy, but it was peaceful. I stood on the balcony and watched the last light fade from the sky. I felt something I had not expected to feel. Relief. That night I slept better than I had in months. The next morning I imagined the scene at the other resort. Derek and Megan going down to the restaurant for breakfast, expecting it to be charged to my card. The server politely informing them that they would need to provide their own payment method. Megan's face when she realized what had happened. I know the birthday cake never arrived because I had canceled it. The special dinner reservation was gone. The dolphin tour was canceled. My phone started buzzing mid-morning. Derek called 7 times. Megan called twice. I let every call go to voicemail. Derek sent text after text. "Mom, where are you? Mom, what is going on? Mom, we need to talk. Mom, please answer." I waited until the afternoon before I responded. I sent one single message. "You asked me to give you space. I am doing exactly that." I turned off my phone and went down to the beach. For the next 3 days, I did something I had not done in years. I focused entirely on myself. I woke up when I wanted. I ate what I wanted. I read 3 books cover to cover. I walked on the beach every morning and evening, letting the waves wash over my feet. On my second day, I met a group of women around my age who were also traveling alone. They invited me to join them for dinner, and I accepted. We sat at a restaurant overlooking the water and shared stories and laughter. One of them, a woman named Sandra, told me her own story about difficulties with her daughter-in-law. She had gone through something similar years ago, a slow pushing out a feeling of being unwanted, a son who would not stand up for her. "How did you handle it?" I asked her. "I stopped begging for a place at the table," Sandra said. "I built my own table, and eventually they realized what they had lost." Her words stayed with me long after dinner ended. When I finally flew back to Connecticut, I felt like a different person. Not healed exactly. The wound was still fresh, but I had learned something important about myself. I had survived, I had stood up for myself, and I had discovered that my happiness did not depend on anyone else's approval. I unlocked the front door of my house and stepped inside. The rooms were quiet just as I had left them, but something had changed. This was my home, my life, and I would not spend another day waiting by the phone hoping for crumbs of affection from people who did not value me. The first week back home was difficult. I moved through my days mechanically going to work at the library, tending my garden, cooking meals for one, but underneath the routine I was grieving. I grieved the relationship I thought I had with my son. I grieved the future I had imagined with my grandchildren, the birthdays and holidays, the moments big and small. I grieved the daughter-in-law I had hoped Megan would be. Derek called repeatedly. At first I did not answer. I was not ready to talk. I needed time to process everything that had happened. After about 10 days, I finally picked up the phone. "Mom," Derek said, his voice thick with emotion. "Mom, please, I am so sorry." I listened as he apologized. He said he had been a coward. He said he should have stood up for me. He said Megan had been wrong to say what she said. I let him finish. Then I spoke. "Derek, I love you. You are my son, and nothing will ever change that. I forgive you for not defending me. But I need you to understand that things cannot go back to the way they were." "What do you mean?" he asked. "I mean that I will not tolerate being treated the way Megan treated me. If she cannot respect me, then I will not put myself in situations where I can be hurt like that again." Mom, Derek started. "I am not finished," I said gently but firmly. "I want to be part of your life and the children's lives, but only if I am treated with basic dignity. If Megan cannot offer me that, then we will need to find a different way forward. I will not beg to be included, Derek. I deserve better than that." There was a long silence on the line. "I understand," Derek finally said. He sounded small, like the little boy he used to be. "I will talk to Megan." "Good," I said. "Take whatever time you need. I will be here when you are ready." We said goodbye, and I hung up the phone. I felt sad, but also strangely empowered. I had set a boundary maybe for the first time in my life. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into new activities. I joined a book club at the library, something I had been meaning to do for years. I signed up for a watercolor painting class at the community center. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected while I was so focused on my son's family. I also took another trip, not to visit anyone or to make anyone happy, just for myself. I drove down to Charleston, South Carolina, a city I had always wanted to see. I spent 4 days wandering through historic streets, eating delicious food, and feeling free. I stayed in touch with Sandra, the woman I had met in Florida. We talked on the phone every few weeks, sharing updates and offering each other support. She became a good friend, someone who truly understood what I was going through. About 3 months after the resort incident, I received a phone call I did not expect. It was Megan. My first instinct was not to answer, but something told me to pick up. "Hello, Megan," I said evenly. She was silent for a moment, then she spoke. "I owe you an apology," she said. Her voice was stiff, like the words were difficult to get out. "I said things that were hurtful and wrong. I should not have told you that you were not welcome." I listened without interrupting. "Derek and I have been having a lot of conversations," she continued. "He made me realize that I was being unfair to you. You were only trying to be a loving grandmother and I pushed you away." I took a breath before responding. "Thank you for calling, Megan. I appreciate you saying that. I accept your apology." There was another pause. "Does this mean we can start over?" she asked. I thought carefully before answering. "We can try," I said. "But I want to be honest with you. The trust between us has been broken. It will take time to rebuild. I am willing to work on our relationship, but I need you to understand that I will not accept being treated the way I was at that resort. Ever again." "I understand," Megan said quietly. "Good. Then we will take things one step at a time." We said goodbye, and I sat for a long time thinking about the conversation. I did not feel triumphant. I did not feel vindicated. I felt something much more important. I felt at peace. The months that followed were a slow process of rebuilding. Megan and I were not best friends, and maybe we never would be, but she made an effort to include me more, to be warmer when we spoke, to let the children talk to me freely. I visited them for Ethan's 4th birthday in the fall. Megan greeted me with a genuine smile and a hug. Lily clung to me and did not let go for the first hour. Even Derek seemed lighter, happier, relieved that his 2 worlds were no longer at war. But I had changed too. I no longer built my entire life around those visits and phone calls. I had my own friends, my own activities, my own sources of joy. My grandchildren were precious to me, but they were not my whole world anymore. This is the lesson I want to share with anyone who has been through something similar. Loving your family does not mean losing yourself. You can be a devoted mother-grandmother and still have boundaries. You can forgive people who hurt you and still refuse to be mistreated again. Walking away from that resort was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the most important. It taught me that my worth is not determined by whether other people value me. It taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is love yourself enough to leave. If you are in a situation where someone makes you feel unwelcome in your own family, please hear me. You deserve better. You are worthy of respect and love, and sometimes the quietest exit is the loudest statement you can make. Today, I am at peace with my life. I have rebuilt my relationship with my son and grandchildren on a healthier foundation. Megan and I are not close, but we are cordial, and that is enough. Most importantly, I know who I am. I am Addie. I am 58 years old. I am a widow, a mother, a grandmother, a friend. And I am enough exactly as I am. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you have ever been in a situation where you felt unwelcome by someone you loved, I would love to hear about it. Please share your experience in the comments below. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have walked away, or would you have handled it differently? If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. I wish you all peace, self-respect, and the courage to walk away from anyone who does not see your worth. Remember, you are always welcome in your own life. No one can take that away from you. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next story.